Howdy, folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. Looks like we are live. Let's see. Well, tonight we have the Alaskan Prepper on. He's running a little bit late, I guess, and just kind of bebopping back and forth here. Andromeda 7 just had a show, so you guys will all be. We're right on time tonight, so that's a first, believe it or not. Well, tonight we are going to talk about prepping, regardless of what happens. Hopefully he gets here soon. I haven't heard one way or the other. I'm kind of looking for that. But anyway, tonight we are going to talk about prepping. Yes. Let's see. I'm just checking. Yeah, I sent all that stuff out, so it should be good. I'm going to just do it again just in case. Anyway, just bear with me, boys and girls. We are driving the bus, and we're doing the thing, driving the bus all at the same time. You never know what happens around here. But anyway, it's a full night, Julie. Yeah, Julie, yeah, it's a full night. Definitely is. Nina had a great show on, and Andromeda 7 had a great show on. I see you were on both of them. Yeah, I had a good reading. One from Brian, and it fit the bill. I tell you that was for sure. But if nothing else, you know what we got? We got the cutest little puppies you ever did see. Look how big they're getting. Yeah, this is a cute one here. Look at how nice they're getting. They're getting those little speckles on them, and they got this fuzzy hair. And who doesn't like seeing the puppies? Look at, they got the cutest little tails. This here is a little girl. It's the one that's got two. This is a favorite here. It's got, you can see, it's got two gray ears. The backs of the ears are just little gray on both sides. Hey, Truth Seeker and Kels, thanks for coming. Yeah, look at these cute. And Delaney Pearl Jones is here. Hey, well, let's see. Let's get another one. Oh, look at this. This one's a little girl too. Isn't that? Look at, they almost all look alike. Now, wouldn't you want one of these? Yes. They are going on the Craigslist Facebook page or something this weekend. I got to get that on tomorrow. That's tomorrow's project. And they'll be going down the road. They're eating food. They're running around. They're also keeping me up at night. Yes. Yeah. So anyway, let's see what else is going on. We are doing our thing. Let's see. Anyway, so we're going to talk about being prepared. I got a whole list of stuff that I'm going to be asking him if he gets on here or not. And I'm hoping that he'd been here. I hope he didn't forget. I was so excited about being on, and now there is nothing. Oh, man. Anyway, so we are just winging it for now. But I thought you'd enjoy the puppies. Who doesn't like puppies, And we'll just get back to here. Here's Susan and Sashi. And, you've been putting out some great videos. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. Steve, you can get her anytime. She's ready to go. Nikki J. Favor to you, too. Scotty boy, you might need the meat if things go straight. Yeah. No, these pups are way too cute. Anyway, okay, let's see. What are we going to talk about tonight? We got all kinds of things to talk about. Canned goods. If you guys want to talk about something with the hey, there's Isby. Isby's in the house now. This is my list of things to talk about tonight. Canned goods, freeze dryer. Put it that way. Where should we start? Steve, they are old enough. They're 5 weeks. They're running around the house. They're eating dog food. They're getting in the hard dog food. Trust me, they are ready to go. Anyway, Steve, I sent you a link if you want to come on and talk about this stuff for a little bit. You're kind of a prepper guy. Well, maybe not, but you're a stonemason. You know what we're talking about here. I already sent you a link. In case the Alaskan prepper doesn't come on, why don't you pop on if you want? I know you probably had a hard day at work. Okay. Where should we start prepping? You know, I've been wanting to do one of these prepping shows for a long time. And where should we start? Anywhere, as long as you start. I would suggest that would be my first suggestion to you, is to start somewhere. Get something. You know, anyway. So start somewhere. That's the biggest thing. I started somewhere. I started getting things. Buy a can here, buy a can there. You know, put it in something. Put it in a tote. Put it in a box. You know, keep the mice out of it. That's the big thing. Keep the mice out. Yeah, while we're waiting for Alaskan Prepper, we got slightly slanted sleuth Steve that's come to join us. By gosh, the hardworking man.
What's up?
Hey, what's up? We got puppies. That's
puppies for everyone.
That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
My kids and my wife won't leave me alone about them.
Well, yeah, you didn't pick which one you wanted. I sent you pictures of all of them.
That one with the gray ears looks cute.
Yeah, I got.
Which one has the best personality? You pick the one with the best personality that I would like, and I'll trust you.
Okay, they all got black roofs and stuff like that. They're really good puppies. So far, I'll pick a really good one for you. Trust me, you'll get a good one. I'm a good dog judge.
Awesome.
Trust me. Yeah, I always have. Look at when I came to your house, didn't I have a good dog except for the part where he went and smelled the neighbor's bushes.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna have a missing in action dog there that night.
Yeah, but he's pretty loyal all together though.
Good at making puppies.
Yeah. Looks like you're in your bunker there, eh?
Yeah, I'm in my garage.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. So, while we're talking about prepping. Have you started prepping?
I started prepping back in my Nibiru days when I thought Planet was coming to get us.
Yeah. Well, and what did you start prepping with?
Well, at first I was buying any kind of food that I could get my hands on. I spent over $2,500 worth on canned goods, rice, beans, etc. And needless to say, more than two-thirds of that is all gone to waste.
Why is that?
Because canned goods only keep for a couple of years.
Yeah, well, then that's when you need to rotate them. You know, you need to actually use them.
Or know how to grow your own food. I think that's the best prepping advice you could give anybody is get seeds and learn how to garden. And
well, you know, most of the people that are in the chat and I see that are watching the show tend to be everybody give me a raise of hands of how many of you are, you know, over the age of say 40 or so. We'll put it that. Just you don't have to give your age. Just You know, if you're over 40 watching this show, give me a hands up. And then the thing is, do you live in the city and or in an apartment, which most people are living in town, you know, or an apartment. They don't have a lot of growing space. They can't build a bunker out back. Yeah, Julie stole that. Yes, you're right. And Truth Seeker, yes, rice, canned beans are good to start. Yeah, you know, and see, that's the thing. And I started with that too. I started with canned goods. I started with dry goods. I got rice and flour and things like that. Now, all right, arthritis, you can't put your hand up. I give it to you. We'll just call you old and decrepit, Scotty boy. See, and that's the thing. There's a lot of people here that are older. They don't have a lot of land. They may live in town or an apartment. And what can you afford? You may have a limited budget. You may not have a lot of money. And my thing is to start somewhere. Get a can, get a box. What can you put it in? Okay, so now we're going to do a little experiment. And while we're all waiting, I'll show you what I did to prepare. Okay, so we're going to take a trip. So be ready. We're going to be moving here. For the faint of heart, we're going to be flying all over the room. This is my type of live stream. Okay, so everybody bear with me. Hey, Joanne, Jansen, Gypsy, nice of you to come. We're going to do a little bit of this. Okay, so here's what there's the puppies. Look at that. Ain't that the cutest bunch of puppies you ever did see? Okay, so this is what I did back in the day. And I have to do this. Okay, I started out on 11/18/18. You see how I did that? I got one of these buckets, these 5-gallon white buckets. I hope y'all can hear me because I'm facing the other way. Can y'all hear me? Steve, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, good. Then I'm coming in loud and clear. Okay, so I got one of these 5-gallon buckets. Sometimes you get them pretty cheap. Sometimes they give them away. I had a friend that had them. They gave them. Okay, so then in this bucket, now I have not opened this bucket since I put it in here, and that was 2018. So that's been in here quite a few years, and I've not opened it. I put noodles in there, raisins, mango, canned corn, baked beans, pork skillet mix, pineapple, flour, sugar, yellow rice, sardines, tuna, cheddar, broccoli, rice, tea, corn on the cob, beef flour or beef flavor, oatmeal, spam, chicken breast, salt, and baking soda. Now, what we're going to do tonight, you got to excuse me because I'm working one-handed here. We're going to open this up, and we are going to see what has been transpiring in here since 2018. And here I have a can of mixed nuts. And look at that. They sound pretty good yet. My gosh. And we have some dried pineapple. See, and I got it on sale here. If you can see it was $1.50. I got this at the Dent store. And it looks pretty good yet. And you can see the geez. There we go. There's the pineapple. Looks pretty good. Okay, we're gonna look what we got here. We got some dried onion soup. This is that Lipton onion soup. Now I put it in a plastic bag and it seems to be all right. Look at that. No mold in the bucket. Oh, look at, I got this here. Campbell's skillet stuff, sweet and spicy mango pork stuff. Look at that. That should be good. Look at, I got canned meat in there. You know, I got some canned beans. Look at that. I got everything you need. Now, none of these, look at, I got canned corn. You know, I got more canned corn. I got some mango in there. Oh, look.
Read the expiration dates on the cans. What do they say?
Oh, I even got some stuff for making ranch dressing. See, I got the stuff. It says here, Best Buy, April 20. Okay, the cans. Yeah, but even if the can ain't dented, or just because it says it's expired, let's see. I'm looking for it here. Oh, here it is. Best if used by September 20th, 2020. So, but it doesn't look rusted or dented or bloated.
Right.
You know, some of these cans. Hey, if you're hungry, you got a choice of eating this stuff or not eating it all. Would you eat it?
Well, yeah. I mean, you'd eat anything, right? People eat people when they're hungry enough.
Well, that's the whole point, man. And then see, I had noodles, and I had one of them a vacuum bag thing sealer deals, and see, I put the noodles in the bag.
Nice.
You know, so that was good. So what I did was I put it. Oh, look at here. I even did beef jerky. Yeah,
Nice.
look at that. It looks like it kept pretty good. I wonder if it would be any good. But there's all kinds of stuff. Oh, here's what I did. I had bags, and I put it, and I sucked lentils. I got lentils in there. Look at that. And then yeah, so anyway, everything
Yeah,
that was
I
on
found the best thing to buy for as far as dry goods or goods that will last the longest from my limited experience of prepping has been rice and beans.
Yeah. Well, you got to figure you need other things in there. So like salt. See here, salt.
Salt will always keep correct.
Yeah, but I mean, what if you can't get it in the store? What if it's not available to you? You know, look at that. I got chicken. There's some chicken. I hope you guys are all enjoying this. Cool. Just add water. This is fun. Yes, this is what it's supposed to be. Prepping is fun. Okay, we have beans. This is the first time I opened this since, look at what else do we got? We got white rice. Look at that. And it looks good yet. Look at it. It looks good.
Robert, let me ask you this. Okay, so
Yes.
you did this back in 2018. Do you still be honest? Do you still feel the urge to do the prepping? Do you feel because I know from my experience when I was prepping,
Yeah.
I was doing it out of fear. You know,
Yes.
fear of the unknown and fear of not being able to provide for my family. So, you know, I don't know if you still do it, but I haven't felt the urge to want to even prep or as far as hoard food in years now. But you know, so what about you? I mean, to this, like yesterday, did you think about prepping other than the show?
No, absolutely. Every single day, I think about it. Every single day.
Cool.
It may sound silly, but I do it look at that. I got raisins in here. Woo. Now, who doesn't love raisins? Now, they're still in the bag and they all look sealed. Doesn't look moldy or nothing. So, and we have our favorite here. We got Spam. Now, we all know that Spam will keep indefinitely.
Right.
Yeah, look at it. It says Best by 2017, but hey, look, it's still it's not dented or nothing.
It was a year gone when you did it.
Yeah, that's right. It was a year gone already. But see, and then I put stuff in there like, look at here. This is other stuff. Baking soda. I got baking soda in here. You know, because you can use a lot of things for baking soda. You can
make some cookies.
Yeah, you can brush your teeth with it, disinfect with it.
Deodorize.
Yes, deodorize. Oh, now here, okay. So I did that. Now here's one can that looks like it's bad. See the little rust on it? Now I wouldn't eat that can.
That's what all the cans that I had started looking like, and I just had to throw them all away.
Yeah, I put them in here, and I didn't know how they were going to turn out. Like, now here's this one. I had this vacuum sealed corn on the cob, and you can see, okay, Ariel, and you can see that one went bad. You see the mold and stuff on the bottom of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Now that's no good. That's going to get tossed. But you know, 90% of this stuff is pretty good here. There's nothing wrong with it. Still, look at, I got sugar in the bottom. Here's sugar. Sugar like never goes bad. It's a little hard, but it's crunching up real good. Look at that sugar. And
Have you ever seen that show where those guys eat that the oldest food that they can find? They sit down and take a bite of it.
yeah. I've seen a little bit of that too. Okay, here we got some. I even thought about like, well, what do you do when you want to do stuff? You want to have some tea. I got tea in there. I got some chamomile tea. I bought some cranberry apple tea. Ain't that good? Who doesn't love cranberry apples? Oh man. And of course there's, look at the stuff of this can turned out pretty good. See, nothing wrong with that can. We got rice in there. Everything else looks pretty good. Ooh, what's this? This here is beef flavor stuff. It's just the packets of beef flavoring. That's pretty good. Oh, I wanted to try. Oh, look at this. Here we got. It was this chunky like tuna in that vacuum seal packs I get at the store. Best Buy, the 020. So, and it doesn't look broken. I'm gonna try opening this up later, and Oh, and then I got these. I love sardines, and this looks pretty.
You like sardines?
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
sardines last forever, man. So like, well, I'm thinking about, protein, man. How do you preserve protein?
Right. I've never been much of an anchovy eater, so.
And then here's I love these things. It's called rice sides, cheddar broccoli, rice pasta stuff. That looks good yet. It's all dry. Nothing's wrong with it. I got some flour in here that's right on the bottom. I got what the heck was this? Oh, this is flavoring, parsley flakes in the flavoring. Yeah, it's just like I put it in here the other day. Oh, here's some yellow rice. That looks good yet. Yellow rice. I don't know if you like yellow rice or not. But anyway, there we go. So
yellow rice isn't like yellow snow, is it?
It's it doesn't taste that great. Yeah, I don't really like the yellow rice as much as I like the white rice or the long grain rice. Okay, now we're putting everything back in the bucket.
Yeah, that's one thing I did not do is put it in 5-gallon buckets or try to keep it out of the moisture.
See, that's probably some of your problem, because see, I put it all in these nice buckets, and they were airtight or whatever, or maybe not airtight, but they didn't get any water, no mice, no nothing. Put that to the side. And like I said, here we go. I labeled it all, just simple with a magic marker. Put it all on there, as you can see. So I knew what was in there, and I got like 20 of these buckets that I made up. So that's what I did. Now here's another thing that I did is I got, okay, you see these totes? Who hasn't seen one of these totes like this? Okay, and then I take these totes, which are mouse proof, and I put a lot of dry goods in there and things like that. And I store stuff, and I can stack those up. And then, as you can see, I got a big bag of rice. So I am like stocked up. I have, now I don't know about you guys, but I do like to, okay, maybe you could see up here. Okay, so I'm in my warehouse right now. So see, I got salt, and I got potatoes. These they're freeze-dried potatoes. Those are really good. And I got crackers, and you can go along there and see I got noodles and all kinds of extra things up there. Plus, I got, who doesn't have these? You need to have some jars and learn how to can. Now, we ain't gonna take a trip around the house, see all the canning supplies, but it is one of those things that is good to have around. Oh, sorry guys, I haven't been reading the chat so much. Anyway, So see, that was your problem. If you leave the cans out, they tend to go bad. I mean, if they're not, they start to rust, and if they're in a moisty area, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to mine.
Yeah. Scotty Boy says, hope you don't have to bug out. Yes. The point is, bugging out, I believe, I don't know what your thought is. Bugging out should be your last effort. That should be the last thing you do. Right?
It's funny because back when I was ready to bug out with the family, put them in the RV and run off with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it should be the ultimate last thing you do.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, do have a bug out bag prepared. Let's grab, I don't know, my bug out bag. Where is mine? I think it's in the other truck somewhere. Hang on. Nope, it is not here. Yeah, it's in the truck. Anyway, but anyway, you got your bug out bag, and you should have the bug out bag and just as just in case. And I'm not saying that you got to bug out for like because the end of the world's coming. You could bug out because hey, there's a tornado or there's a fire in your area. I mean, who was
what
it?
What about if the mother-in-law is coming?
That probably would be a good time too. Depending on how much you like your mother-in-law. Joanne says, should we learn to freeze dry our own food? Freeze drying is super good. I want to buy a freeze dryer, but I have no place to put it. I want one so bad, but my house, I live in a little tiny house, and there's just no place to even set it. I mean, otherwise I get one. But the food keeps for 25 years, and you could do meat, vegetables, anything. And you don't have to worry about the electricity going out because now here's a good one for like having, I wish I had a garage like you do, man, I'd buy me a freeze dryer in a heartbeat. But the problem is when, if like you got a freezer, and I've had this happen to me several times, that the freezer clunks out on me, and then I don't have all my food goes bad, and I have to throw it away and start over.
Oh, that sucks.
I've done that several times, and trust me, it's not the best. Yeah, we're here.
How do you keep all the bodies fresh so they don't start stinking?
Oh man, I don't keep bodies around. I bury them out back right away.
You feed them to the puppies, right?
Oh man. Truth Seeker says getting some dry spices would be a good idea to go with the rice and beans. Yes, I did. I went to the Dent and Bent store, and this is something you people can do too, is find a Dent and Bent store, which is great. But I went there, and they had all those packets of spice like taco seasoning and slow cooker mix and all of that. I got them for $0.25 a piece. So I bought handfuls and handfuls of them. Whereas in the store, they're like 89 cents a piece, or maybe $1.25. But I bought a bunch of them. And the thing is don't go crazy. Don't go out there and buy a whole bunch of stuff right away. Go to town. When you're in town, just throw in a can or two here and there. And before you know it, you'll have a whole bunch of stuff. Now, the thing is, I don't know how long to prep for. Let's see. So we started with something, going to town, buying a few products, buy stuff that you like to eat. That's the thing. Have some spices on hand, salt, pepper, things like that, I would say.
But with the prepping thing, wouldn't it be best to think like renewable resource type thinking, like seeds?
Yeah, but you got to remember. See, this is I think a lot of the people here, or most people, they either live in an apartment or a tiny house or something like that, and they don't have a big area to grow a lot of gardening stuff. And that's kind of me too. I mean, my garden is great, but I haven't been able to grow enough to can up enough and then I don't know where to put it all because you know what I mean? So now I'm limited. So even if I can grow a garden, it's only good for the summer, and then I can some stuff and I made jellies and jams and things like that. And I've canned lard. Oh, let's see. I got honey saved up. I got all kinds of stuff in. But then you got to have a place to put that too. So what's your thoughts? Okay, here. How much, now you were prepping for the planet coming, but how many years did you prep and plan for?
Well, I just bought as much as I could, as quick as I could, and I spent, like I said, over $3,000, about $2,500 or so in between there. And so I probably had, for 4 people, had enough food to last us 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So on my prepping list is other things to do. Like I went out and I bought a bicycle because I thought, what if there's no gas? Say we had a power outage, I have gas, but I save that for the generator. I have a generator too. So I have a generator to power the freezers, which I would alternate, not run them continuously. I'd turn them on for like 6-8 hours, shut it off for 4 or 5, turn it on for 6 or 8 or whatever it is to cool it down. And, so I don't use all my fuel up at the same time. So I got myself a bicycle. I also have a 4-wheeler just in case, but the bicycle would take no power, no gas, no nothing. And I could still get to where I got to go. Plus I got a bicycle with the baskets on it so that I could carry some things. Just an FYI, Okay.
Yeah, I think prepping is just like anything else to us, creatures of breath, that we will, if you start, there's probably no good place to stop, or, because we are just bottomless pits, and we'll just keep. My point is that you can never buy enough product to keep you alive forever. Yeah. So I think the best is to learn how to be self-sufficient.
Well, and that goes back to even if you had seeds, right? And you don't know when shit's going to hit the fan. And if it hits it in the winter time, right. Yeah, what are you going to do? Well, I got seeds. I'm going to plant the garden now. And then it's going to take you, 6 months to get the product out of the garden. So I think that growing a garden is a great idea, and canning the stuff. But first off, do you have a canner to preserve the food? Do you?
Right. And I wrote in chat, for me, the thing I could do first and foremost is to prepare myself spiritually for whatever is to come, and meaning that, get right with myself, get right with God, get right with people in my life, right? So and that's a great thought, but when your belly's growling because you're right with yourself, doesn't help your family out either when your kids are looking at you like, Dad, cut your arm off, I want to eat. Well, then you start going over the papers in the paperwork of, if I die, you can eat me. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but I mean, these are things I think about. I mean, how many, you're a parent, right? And you got children. I don't know what age they are, but the question is
what to catch the COVID.
Oh, well, okay, there you go. So the question is, what would you not do for your children?
Absolutely nothing. I'd do everything for them.
That's right. And I think a lot of people would. They would pretty much do anything to keep their children or their loved ones alive. And this is what I'm saying is, I'm thinking that, have some food on hand. You might have to ration it. Go downtown. Here, I got like this big giant bag of rice here. This big giant bag of rice was at Sam's Club, was like $10. You know how long and how many calories you can get out of this big sack of rice, and how long you could feed your family? Put some of those spices to it that we're talking about. And sure, it might not be good. One little can of chicken or chicken broth, and you put that in there, mix it up, and you got chicken and rice. and maybe get some, if you're going to have some kind of animal, and if you have room for it, get a chicken. They don't cost too much to keep. They kind of do their own thing, and they give you an egg every day.
The absolute best food or substance known to man for as far as longevity of it being nutritional and having antioxidant properties is honey. Straight up honey. Because even if it crystallizes, you can still eat it, and it's never going to give you mold issues or anything that's going to get you sick.
Here you go. See, I bought this in a store. This was local honey. Believe it or not, grown in Minnesota. If you can see that, grown in Minnesota.
Oh yeah, I got the very same kind of honey.
Yeah,
I'm in Minnesota.
And this here was at the store, which stores here are expensive, and I think I paid like $17 for this big quart jar of honey. So and it's got the sugar, it's got nutrients, it's got sweeten your tea. It'll keep forever.
What is honey called before it's processed? What is it called?
Raw. Yeah, it'd be raw.
No, there's another name for it. I can't remember.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe there's some honey growers in here, but that see, the way you're talking about is like saying, yeah, I need honey, but I'm gonna go and get some honeybees, and then when shit hits the fan, I'm gonna grow honeybees, and they're gonna make my honey so I can live off the honey. See what I'm saying? And you can't do that. You have to stock up on some honey, and when shit hits the fan,
Scotty brings up a good point. That is part of no one wants to look at is you're going to have to protect your family from a man who is trying to feed his. Yes. And bingo. But I mean, I'm still going to have faith in humanity as far as, people are going to see that. I think that's another thing with the mainstream media and our collective mindset as far as dog eat dog society. We need to get over that type of mindset, because I think it's been ingrained in us to a point where it's ludicrous to even think of, because when shit really does hit the fan, you don't see that happening. You see people helping people. Now, we haven't deteriorated to a point to where we're eating our dogs or not, but like the Donner Party, you didn't see them deliberately killing each other to eat each other either. No. So I think the human spirit will always help a fellow human. I don't think there will be groups or little pockets of people that are like that, gangs or whatever, but for the most part, I think people are gonna help each other out. And I hope that.
Oh yeah. Well, and I see that happening. I see that people help each other out, right? And but the thing is when I think if it gets too widespread, then it's like let's just use a hurricane, right? Or whatever. A hurricane comes and hits Florida, and people donate money, clothes, food, and then they send that all to Florida, right? Because it didn't really affect me here.
Right.
But what's coming is, I think it's going to be a worldwide food shortage. And when that hits, then nobody will have that food. I mean, the food pantry is going to say, hey, people are donating food. And all of a sudden it's going to be, well, I'm not donating food. I got to wait in line to get a loaf of bread. So how can I wait in line all day to donate a loaf of bread? I'm not going to do it. See what I'm saying?
Right.
And in that point, they're taught, like Wayne had mentioned, that there might be, and I've seen other people mention, so it's not just him, that there's going to be rationing, and there's going to be food cards. They're going to limit what you can buy in a day at some given point in time. And then what do? Oh man, I can only get 1 gallon of milk a week and 1 loaf of bread a week. And, I can only get a dozen of eggs every 2 weeks. Now, I can't help my fellow man, because if I give him half my eggs, now I got nothing. I got 6 eggs to live on for 2 weeks.
What's the old adage with the Shiva, or order is born out of chaos, and right now our world is chaotic. It's all over the place. It's confusing. There, you don't know which way to turn for the right information. You don't know what the truth is if you were to pay attention to the media, or even if you were to pay attention to YouTube or any other platform. It's so hard to muddle through what is true. So therefore, we have to look at this whole situation that we are in at present as why is it happening? You know, why are we at odds with each other? Why do we think the world's going to have a food shortage? Why all of a sudden are things going south in our regime, as far as our environment, as far as our money status, as far as, you know, anything? And for me, like Joanne said, you know, we're already dead. We're born here dead. You know, so get over it and enjoy the ride, or, you know, get busy living, or just get busy dying. So like Scotty said just a minute ago, I have made the decision a couple years back that, you know, I'm gonna live my life day by day, and you know, get my cheeseburger or whatever I'm gonna get to eat for that day, and, you know, per day, you know, I'll have some source of food for the future. But, you know, I'm not going to worry about what tomorrow brings. I'm going to live in the now, I guess.
Yeah.
The only reason why I worry about tomorrow is for my children and my wife and my loved ones. You know, if it were up to me, I'd just go jump on a bicycle or a motorcycle and go live in the woods.
Yeah. And see, that's what I'm saying though, is being single, you could do that. You can say, screw it, heck with the world. I'm going to jump out, get out of the rat race and go live in the woods as a mountain man. You know, I seen here, Joanne says I wanted to be, Robinson Crusoe, and that'd be great, you know, but what are you going to do with your kids? What are you going to do with your loved ones? Exactly. You know, they're going to get hungry. Maybe they don't want to.
Right.
You know, and that's what I'm trying to say. Let's do some preparing here, because there's a lot of people who say, I don't want to go places. I need to stay home. Okay, so now we're going to get to what supplies to have extra. You know, if this crisis hits that they're talking about, and I think it's already kind of hitting, you know, what supplies should you have? An extra batteries, you know, some extra batteries for your flashlights, you know, for your radio, maybe some parts for your car, like a oil filter or something, or, you know, maybe so you can change your oil, maybe I don't know, you know, things like that.
Or an RV.
Or an RV, yeah. You know, if you want to keep your RV up and running and you want to bug out with that, or you decide that, yeah, I got to leave here, you want to keep that going. You want to make sure all that stuff is in the Joanne says she'll take the runt. They always make the best companions. Absolutely. You got a runt here. He's a little guy. If I catch him, I'll show. I think this is the runt right here. This is the runt. There you go.
Hi, Michelle Can-Am Free. I love you.
Yes. Oh, yeah, and okay, so
Joanne's gonna get a puppy too.
I don't know if she is, but
she said it like 3 times.
I don't know where she is. I get her one, you know. Anyway, we got on thing here we got the stuff you need. Now, what about yourself? Do you have clothes? What if clothes, you know, people don't think about things like that. Winter comes. What if you don't have the right shoes? Maybe your shoes are about ready, wore out. This is the time to get them, because we might not get them. Shoes, pants, coats for winter. What about your pet? I see David Castle had said something about, I have 2 months of food for Rufus. And that's a good thing. We all thinking about eating for ourselves. But what about your dog? You know, how long is your dog going to go before you look at him and say, hey, buddy, we don't have any food for you.
Right.
You know, and then what?
Well, then I think the dog looks at you like, you're not going to eat me, are you?
Yeah, well, and that's exactly the thing. Now, here's another thing. What if, you know, we don't have I shouldn't even say we don't have the luxury of the internet, but what if you don't have the money to have the luxury of the internet, right? So if you don't have the money, what kind of books should you get? Maybe have a medical book, one on some kind of crafts, one on gardening. You know, you're talking so much in gardening and stuff, but I know a lot of people who really haven't ever gardened more than
I haven't
growing
ever
some.
gardened. I don't know how to garden. It's not like I'm a farmer, so I don't know.
Well, there you go. Maybe you should get you're so big on this gardening. Maybe you should plan on getting a book on gardening. You know, maybe a little bit of something. What if the internet goes, or you can't afford it?
Or how about we start a community? We get somebody that's good at farming. They can do the farming. And oh, wait, we already got that. That's called a city. And it's called a cooperative. So,
well, that's the thing. But if everybody is looking out for themselves, then you're got to wonder, if I go into the city, you know, what are they going to do? You know, are they just going to take my shit? You know, or are they, you know, can you trust your neighbor? I mean, you kind of live more in a city than I do. I live way in the country, but do you trust your neighbor?
Right.
And if you grew the stuff, would they come over at night and take your stuff, or would they destroy your crops? Or, you know, I mean, are they going to give you a hand? And if they don't, do they expect the food? Hey, look, that guy grew a bunch of corn. He's got a green thumb. I'm going to just go get his corn.
Right. You know, I won't allow myself to go down those what if roads anymore in my own head, because it led to bad places where I didn't want to be in my mind, I guess.
Ah, okay. Well, see,
and I guess that's part of my prepping, is just not to prep at all.
Yeah. See, this is a good thought, because see, I have prepping on my brain all the time, every day. Everything I do, I orientate it towards you know, prepping for some reason, or like, sure, I'm going to spend a little money. I bought a used bicycle, it was $50, but you know what? I can ride it around now, and it's good for my prepping. Like I was saying, you know, if the things went down, I still have a bicycle. I can enjoy it either way. And like this food, I got the food. It's edible right now. I need to rotate it out, and I can use it. I can eat that stuff. I bought stuff that I like to eat and that I will eat, and I can rotate out, no problem. You know, I don't know. What would you do? I should ask these questions. Okay, here's another one. What about medical supplies? Are you in good health? Do you take any,
exactly.
and do you have high blood pressure? I don't know how many people here have high blood pressure and take, you know,
pick me.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of people who have these problems. And what if you don't have the right medicines? That's where that book on medical stuff would, like medical herbs, plants and things. If I have high blood pressure, I'm going to want to find those plants and
think about this, though. I think our society and our eating habits and our culture has driven us to a point to where we need high blood pressure medication, we need insulin, or we need diabetic supplies, or we need this or that, because of our inundated we've inundated our bodies with you know, the consumerism of a capitalistic society, right? I mean, so.
There he is. He's here. All right, everybody. And there he is.
How are we doing?
We're doing good. Welcome.
Can you see me all right?
No, I can't see. You gotta hit the little camera button.
Where am I at? Okay, there we go. There I am.
There you are.
My camera here.
All right.
I gotta see. All right. Am I good?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, I'm not breaking your camera, am I?
No, absolutely not. Welcome, Alaskan Prepper. Thank you for coming.
Brother. Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate the invite.
Oh no,
how you guys doing?
Ah, all right. This here is Steve, Slightly Slanted Sleuth. He come to join me while we were waiting for you. I think we might have got our time screwed up here. Are you
Oh,
must
I thought you said 7 p.m. my time.
I thought you were 2 hours behind me. Maybe you're 3 hours behind me.
Are you Central?
Yes.
Oh man, yes, I'm 3 hours behind you, so I'm late to the party.
Oh, that's
man.
all right. We've been going through stuff. I was showing them my prepper bucket that I had. I got the prepper bucket with
Man, I'll tell you what, I feel terrible.
Oh, no. Well, it was a miscommunication. We're good.
Yeah.
I got papers and papers and papers of stuff to talk about. So
Yeah, man. Well,
Hey guys, I gotta duck out.
my
My phone's gonna die, and I don't want to just be cut off. So I want to say goodbye and just say,
all right.
All right,
All right.
good meeting you, man.
Have a good one.
Take it easy, guys. Bye.
Take care.
Yeah, Steve,
Yeah, so I'll tell you what, Robert, I'll stay on as long as you want me to today, but if you want me to come back on another day, I will as well.
Oh, no, this is great. We're on a roll already. We said hi to everybody. We got a whole house full of people here that are listening. We went through a bunch of stuff with Steve, found out that he prepped for this Planet X Nabru thing many years back, and now he's given up on prepping, and he's decided that I'm done. All the food I got ruined. And I said, so then I went to my bucket here. I'm going to hang on to the camera here. And I went to my bucket here. And then I showed you the bucket. And then I went through all the stuff that I had in the bucket. I had some Spam and I had canned goods and things like that. So I even had some canned meat in there. Everything.
Oh, Keystone is good stuff. Yeah. So let me just go ahead and say this for anyone that's not preparing. I'm not sure what was the name of the person that you said that quit prepping. Because nothing ever happened, Steve.
Yeah.
So prepare. Now, everything that I say is my opinion, of course, and it's what I do.
Yes.
And I know that different people are different, but what I hope is that when someone watches my content or sees what I do, that they can not emulate what I do exactly how I do it, but to customize it to themselves.
Yes.
So that it will work for you, right?
Yes. These are strictly our opinions, right?
Yes. But I feel, like, for example, what works for me here in Alaska may not work for you, but you can take some ideas of what I do and make it your own so that it will work for you. So I feel that preparing is not preparing for one thing like Nibura. Right?
Yeah.
Preparing is preparing for anything by having the basics that will get you from point A to point B of a crisis. Now, to make it as simple as possible for anyone that's watching, this is how simple being prepared is. I tell people to grab a piece of paper and a pencil and write down all of the infrastructures that you rely on. So, for example, we rely on water infrastructure, right? We all rely on water utilities to get water to our sink.
Yep.
So if you rely on that, make believe that it went away. What do you have? Now, you want to create a backup for that infrastructure. And how do you go about doing that? That's where the information that you can gather from different channels comes in handy. Because yes, you want to have water stored away for a couple of weeks or a month or however long you can store water away for that you can use. But you also want to have a good quality water filter because your water that you have stored, no matter how much you have, it's not going to last forever. And depending on how long the crisis may last, you may have to depend on that water filter. So that's an infrastructure that you rely on that you need to go ahead and get a backup for that. And you do that with every infrastructure that you rely on. The second one that I'll use is, and then I think everyone will get the grasp of where I'm coming from is supermarkets. They're their own infrastructure. You know, the supply system is its own infrastructure. So do you rely on getting food from the supermarket in order for you and your family to eat? And if you do, then what you want to do is you want to have a backup to that infrastructure. And how do you go about doing that? Well, the way I go about doing that is 3 ways. I have a primary pantry, the one that's right off my kitchen that has about a week's supply of food. Then I have a mid to long-term pantry the one that you've probably seen on any of my videos that I show off, that way I can show people how it is that I do it, which has foods in there that I rotate into my working pantry. And that's the key, is rotating.
Yep.
Because if the gentleman that was prepping for Nibiru, and if he had purchased foods that he could rotate in and out of his daily life, none of his food would have ever gone to waste. And then the third way that I prep food is, for my mid to long-term pantry, is for long-term, meaning that I like to pressure can. I like to preserve foods in different ways. I like to purchase long-term food storage from third parties like freeze-dried foods. And I like to put away long-term foods myself in the form of dry grains like rice, beans, wheat berries, oats, sugar, salt, spices, things like that. So all you have to do, there you go. Outstanding, man. And you know what? That's 40,000 calories right there.
Yep.
That bag of rice can literally save your life. Should the day ever come where you can't get food anywhere else. And the great thing about that is that you can rotate it.
Yep.
If you don't eat rice, you probably shouldn't be putting away rice. Right?
Yeah.
So if you use that concept, if you use that concept of just taking a look at the infrastructures that you rely on and having a backup for each of those infrastructures in the case that they may go down, that is the best way to prep. That is the best way to start prepping. And one of the things that I like to tell people is always remember that slow and steady wins the race. If you watch a prepping video, let's say you watch one of my videos where I show you my pantry, my mid to long-term pantry that has a year's supply of food. There's about 3 million calories in there. Don't think that I did that overnight, because I didn't. That took me a long time to do, slow and steady. And don't be discouraged when you see something like that.
We were just talking about, it was on my list, and right in the beginning it says, where do I start? And I said, start by just go out and buy your first can and say, there you go, I started.
Absolutely. And so what you want to do is, a lot of people that get into prepping, they usually start prepping food and water first. Why? Because everybody needs to eat and everybody needs to drink. So I like to start off, with new preppers, I like to start off with food and water, because it's very easy, because everybody knows what they eat, right? It's very simple for them to grasp the concept. I don't want to start off trying to show a new prepper how to set up a solar system, or how to hook up your generator to your house. No, I want to go, hey, listen, you need to eat, right? Okay. So go into your pantry and count how many cans of corn you have. And then figure out how many cans of corn you go through in a month. So if you go through 8 cans of corn in a month, you and your family do, and you have 12 cans of corn in your pantry, then that means that if you want to be prepared for 2 months, you need to buy another 4 cans of corn. And it's as simple as that, but do that with everything. Every time you go shopping, just get a little extra. You don't have to go and get $1,000 worth of food every time you go shopping. Just get a little bit extra. Now, if you can afford it, by all means. If you can afford to stock up on 5 years worth of food tomorrow, I would do it, because I honestly believe that in the future, we're going to need our preps. However, just buy things that you're going to be able to rotate. I myself purchase a lot of freeze-dried foods, but I eat it. I actually rotate my freeze-dried foods because I love it, right? I really like the freeze-dried foods that I get, so I rotate through it. However, if you are going to purchase freeze-dried foods and you don't want to rotate through it, that's fine, because they do come with like a 25, 30-year shelf life. So that's one of the parts of prepping that I think it's important, but not as important as you stocking up on the things that you eat on an everyday basis. That way you can go ahead and rotate through those foods, and they don't have to go bad after 5 or 10 years.
Absolutely. I had people, when we first started out, talking about the same kind of concept, and I kept saying, hey, you got to stock these things up. And they're like, oh, I think the most important thing is growing a garden. And I says, well, what happens if shit hits the fan in the winter?
Yep.
It's going to be a good year before you can actually harvest any food.
Yes, that's a great point. I just put up a video not too long ago. Actually, I think it was my Sunday's live stream, and the live stream, the title of it, I believe, was This is why I prep long-term foods. And the thumbnail had my potato harvest.
Oh yeah.
Because I grew potatoes this year.
Mhm.
Well, my point of that live stream was that even if you are very good at growing a garden, you never know what's going to happen. What if you have a hurricane? What if you have a flood? What if a whole bunch of deer come into your garden and eat everything up?
Yeah.
What
We
are
had
you going to
somebody in the
use as a
comments
back?
say that already. They said I would grow a garden, but the deer eat everything, and then
There you
I'm
go.
stuck with nothing. And
I mean, in that case, you would have protein, you know, because if it was an SHTF and there was deer in my garden, I wouldn't be shooing them away. You know, I'd be getting my little boomstick out and taking care of business, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's the thing is, like, okay, so the freeze dry. Now I had some people say freeze dry, and I've been on the fence about getting a freeze dryer. I live in a tiny house. There's not much place to put it, but I said,
Yeah.
I've been weighing this out, and this is for anybody, and I want to see what your opinion is. I said, okay, a freeze dryer, $3,000, you know, for one of those harvest rate ones. It's expensive, but I had this is a second or second freezer or so that I've had, and then all of a sudden I fill it full and it goes bad, and then the cow that I butchered, which is a lot of meat, you know how much a cow is, goes bad, and I had to throw it all out. Now, if I could have freeze dried all of that, which would have probably took a long time because you can only do a little bit at a time, but I would have saved all that money, wouldn't I? It would have been good on the shelf with no refrigeration for years.
Yeah, you could have done a couple of things too in order to mitigate your meat going bad in the freezer. One of the best ways that I find to preserve meat in a freezer is to vacuum seal it. So if you vacuum seal meat and then put it in your freezer, it's not going to get freezer burned.
Yes.
And it's probably going to extend the life of the meat for literally for years. Right. And it's still going to be good to eat as long as your freezer doesn't lose power.
Yeah.
That's one way. Another way is to know how to and have the equipment to be able to pressure can.
Yes.
Pressure can meats will last you, in my opinion. I've eaten pressure can meats that I pressure canned. I think the oldest that I've eaten was like 7 years old. Absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Now,
pressure can meats will last you a long time.
I like that idea, and I watched your video on the pressure can meats, and it was, check it out, everybody. It was a great video. That was where I found you in the first place. Is when I started doing that, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy really knows what he's talking about." And
you know what? You know what? Pressure can meats, man, is so good. If you've never had pressure can beef, just the beef, and I like the cold pack method, which means that I pack it in the jar raw. I don't pre-cook it.
Yeah.
Just the cold pack method with the meat packed in there raw with like if you're doing quarts, 1 teaspoon of salt, of sea salt. I'll tell you what, man, if you try that, you will be hooked because it tastes so very good. So yeah, that's the second way. Pressure canning really allows your proteins to extend their shelf life for years and years. So, and then again, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I got now I had a buddy of mine who his wife pressure cans meat a lot. And he says, what we do is we put our meat in the freezer, we eat it. Now, I don't know if you ever did this, but he puts the meat in the freezer. Then when it gets older, you know, after that year or so, they can it all. And then they get new meat and put it in the freezer. And then that canned meat stays good for, he says, we got meat for a long, long time.
Yep. That is perfect. I mean, that's a perfect plan. And that's what I do too. I mean, if I have meat in the freezer that's about a year old already, it's going in a pressure can. And like I said, I would tell anyone that's never tried it before, try it once and you'll be hooked because it's that good. And you were talking about the freeze dryer. Now, the freeze dryer, in my opinion, with the limited amount of experience that I've had, because I've only had mine for about, I don't know, about 2-3 weeks maybe. But I've been using that thing almost every single day. It cost me $2,295 for the freeze dryer. And it's the small one. And the small one will handle the biggest batch of beef that I put in there was roughly 15 pounds. Was the biggest batch. And in order for you to I actually did a video, I think I called it AP Math for the freeze dryer. And I actually broke down exactly how many batches of beef you would have to do in order to save enough money to pay back for your investment in the freeze dryer. And it was only about 16 batches. Wow. So once I've done 16 batches of 15 pounds of beef in that freeze dryer, the money that I saved had I went out and purchased freeze dried meat, let's say from Mountain House, would already make up the investment that I used to purchase a freeze dryer. So if you are going to get a freeze dryer, the only way you're going to make back what you paid for it is if you use it. All right.
Well, I did the math on that too. And you probably didn't deduct the fact that, like, okay, a freezer. Okay. And I did this once and I did the math. It was like, okay, I have a freezer and it cost me so the big giant freezer costs $500, right? And I pay $10 a month every month that I have that thing running, but I never really add that into the cost of all that food I bought. And then when that freezer goes bad and I lose all that food, holy cow, I could have bought several freeze dryers for that.
Yes, very, very likely. But like I said, I didn't think that the return on investment was going to be that fast. But when I did the math, and the fastest return on investment for a freeze dryer is with beef.
Yes.
Because when you buy freeze dried beef from a third party, man, it's very pricey. I think Mountain House for 17 ounces, I think, of freeze dried beef cubes is like $84. So you're looking at like $4.88 an ounce. Wow. When you do it yourself, or when I do it myself, it came out to like $2.18 an ounce. Wow. That's saving like $2.50 an ounce that I'm saving. So if I do that, and one of my batches came out to like 30 ounces. So just in one batch alone, I'm saving $60, $70. Wow. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you multiply that times 20 cycles or 30 cycles, you've already gotten your investment back as far as the savings between doing it yourself and buying it over the counter. Nice. So yeah, it's worth the investment if you're going to use it, and use it till the wheels fall off, which is what I'm planning on doing. And I've also done mozzarella cheese on that thing, and it comes out perfect. And mozzarella cheese is another thing that's pretty expensive over the counter. And when you do it yourself, you're probably saving about, I don't know, more than 50% of what you would pay for it over the counter. So it pays for itself pretty quickly if you use it all the time. And that's what I've been doing. I think I've had it for about 2 or 3 weeks, and I've already gone through about 10 or 11 cycles. So I've had it working pretty much almost every day since I got it.
May I ask, did you get the one with the oil or one with the air?
I got the one with the oil because I am not paying an extra $1,500 for the oilless pump. Okay. And you know what? The one with the oil, as long as they recommend, I got the one with the very basic oil pump. Yeah. Like one of the first ones. I think it was the second oil pump that they came out with, besides that really big one that they first came out with. And the only grievance that I have with it is a little bit noisy. However, what I did is where I housed it, I put some 2-inch foam insulation around it, and that really covers up a lot of the noise. It reduces the noise by like 80%. Oh, wow. As long as you change the oil on that thing and keep that oil in there clean, I'm assuming, I can't say that I know, but I'm assuming that that thing will run for a good long while.
Yeah, cool. That is great. Okay, let's get on with the questions here. We went through that. Oh, we were on books, skills. Okay, let's go with this. Suggestions if shit hits the fan. Now we did food, which is good because I said we were talking about that earlier, and I said you got to have food to get you through till you can plant the garden, and then you can can the food and stuff right like that. And if you don't have the food or whatever, and if you got children, because they're like, just run away to the mountains, but that's not true.
You need to eat. You need to eat.
You need to eat. And if you have children or wife or something, you got to feed them. They don't care. They want food.
And people that think that they can just run off to the woods and survive off nature, maybe a very small percentage of people could, but let me put it into perspective. for anyone that thinks that lives in the lower 48. Now, here in Alaska, it may be possible because there's not as many people per square mile. But in the lower 48, there's roughly 30 million deer in the lower 48. There's 330 million people. If you're planning on going off to the woods to hunt, to sustain your sustenance, there's probably a lot more people thinking the same way you are. And those 30 million deer, they're probably not going to last very long. Same thing with lakes where there's fish. It's probably going to get fished out pretty quickly. And what I think about preparedness is not that it's resilient. Self-reliance and self-sustaining means that you can provide for yourself over time. But prepping, in my opinion, is a tool that you use to get you from point A to point B, to get you through a crisis. You know, it's not meant to sustain you forever. It's to be able to get you through that crisis. And then hopefully by the time that your food is starting to run out, if the crisis is long enough, you've got that garden started. You've gone out to hunt and been able to replenish some of your protein. And then you can gateway over into homesteading. But, you know, a lot of people say SHTF, right?
Yes.
It's the end of the world as we know it, right? Teotwaki, right? But you just have to look at history. A crisis does not last forever, right? A crisis always has a beginning and it has an end. If it didn't have a beginning and an end, then it wouldn't have a name because it would just be part of everyday life, right? Living in crisis all the time. So, you know, a crisis does not last forever. The challenging part is to try to figure out what you need and how much you need of it to get you through any crisis, right? So I like to, what I say and what a lot of preppers say is stack it to the rafters. I like to be oversupplied. And in the worst case scenario, I will need it. But in the best case scenario, I will be able to help others that weren't prepared ahead of time. So you just want to make sure that you're going to have what you need to get from point A to point B, and then have some contingency plans like seeds, like gardening tools, like working tools, like bartering items. And I have to include this, although a lot of people don't agree with this, but let me ask you, what good are all of your preps if you don't have a way to protect them?
That's true. That's
I like to say I like to say that if you don't, you know,
on top of my list, should I have security?
I'm retired from the military and I've been shot at before, right? So when people hear a person that calls himself a prepper or of the preparedness mindset, and then we bring up self-defense, they automatically think, oh, this guy is just a jarhead. This guy just, wants to, no. In my opinion, most people that have been overseas and have experienced some of that stuff over there are people that have nothing to do with violence. I don't want anything to do with violence. The last thing that I ever want in the world is to have to use violence against someone else. Right? I just want to live a peaceful life. I want to be with my family. Just the same thing that 99% of Americans want. Right? However, what's the most important thing to us? I'm sure that the most important thing to you is probably your family. The most important thing to me is my family. And why in the world would I have spent all of this time getting prepared to make sure that my family is taken care of in case something or anything happens, if I don't have a way to to defend my family and the preparations that I made on their behalf? So whenever you prepare and you don't have a way to defend your preps, all you're doing is inviting the biggest thug on the block to come and take them away from you. And taking away your preps during a crisis, during a severe crisis, is the same thing, in my opinion, as giving your family somewhat of a death sentence. Because if the crisis is severe enough where you know that you're not going to be able to allocate the resources that you need for your family to live, and someone comes and takes all your preps, they just took your family's lives from them if you're not able to replenish those supplies that were taken from you. So I believe that self-defense is very, very important as well. And even more important than that is that if you do decide to go the route of having a self-defense tool, a boomstick, as we like to call it, to get around the YouTube algorithm. If you do get around to having a boomstick, then you want to make sure that you are very well trained and that you know everything about that. You don't have to have 1,000 of them. All right. In my opinion, you only have to have one. And it's the one that you are really comfortable with and are the best trained with. All right. So I like to throw that in there because I think it's very important. You've all heard the saying that when minutes matter, a police officer is but when seconds matter, a police officer is but minutes away. And the unfortunate thing is that is true. That is true.
That is true. I always like to refer to, and I don't know why, but I don't. Did you ever watch Gilligan's Island?
Oh yeah, I grew up on Gilligan's Island.
Of course, didn't we all? Remember the episode where the bank robber guy came to the island and they waited on him hand and foot because he had 6 shots in his and he ruled them
at island. Yeah.
And as soon as he shot the last one, he was equal to them. That
exactly.
Fast. But until that time, they waited hand and foot on him. They did everything he said. And I said, that's just like the world. If you aren't equal,
it works the other way around,
Yeah.
It works the other way around. If there's someone with a firearm that enters your home and you have one, it doesn't matter how big that person is. You're just as equal to that person as that person is to you, because you have something that can meet him or her head on.
Yeah.
So and it's a great equalizer.
Exactly. It was always a good one to laugh about because that guy was just that little runt of a guy. I can't remember his name, but they couldn't do anything. Okay, now here's another one. Now this, I think, is almost as important as the food because 4 out of 5 people, especially us older people, not me anyway, but need medical supplies, pills, drugs, things like that, blood pressure, diabetes, all that stuff. What do you suggest?
Yes. That's the second B of prepping. I have 5 B's of prepping: beans, band-aids, bullets, barter, and bullion. And that's the second B of prepping. And it's just like anything else. So first thing is the priority is going to be if you are on any kind of prescription medications, you have to figure out a way. And there are ways to do it. However, I will not share that with you because I am not a medical person, right? And I'm not going to be telling you to do something that
you get
like
a medical, like herbs. Can you turn to herbs like a book?
Well, that's an option. That's an option. But what I was going to say is with prescription medications, you want to try and push those out as far as you can. Now, some doctors, if you tell them, hey, listen, Ken, I know that my prescription is month to month, but I'm going to be out of town for a month and a half. Can I get a 3-month supply? Right? There's ways for you to have at least more than 1 month supply of your prescription medications. Just figure out which way works for you. Something that's this is a hypothetical situation.
Yes.
And some people have asked me this before. Well, my doctor won't give me a 3-month supply. And I said, well, hypothetically, if I was on, let's say, I don't know, high blood pressure medication, and I was supposed to take one of these pills every day, I may get a razor blade and only take 3/4 of a pill a day and see how that works. And if I can get away with it, I would try to take a half a pill a day. And then I would allow my stock to grow by only taking 1/2 or 3/4 of what I need and continue to fill my prescription on a regular basis. Now, like I said, that's hypothetically. I'm not giving anyone advice to do that. All right, because you know yourselves better than I know. You know yourselves better than I know you. So that's a way that you can do it. But first, ask your doctor and get as much of your prescription medication out as far as you can. Over-the-counter medications, I think, are still legal in these United States of America. So just stock up on the things that you need. And maybe if you can stock up on some other things that you don't necessarily need, but you can use for barter. For example, feminine hygiene products, UTI, urinary tract infection pills. Those things would be extremely important. should the system go down and you can't get to a medical professional, right? So pretty much with medication, what I say is get the things that you already use and also rotate them. If you get cold medication, don't get cold medication and put it away. And then the next time you get a cold, go to the store, buy a new bottle and use that. Rotate it. You know, cold medication, in my opinion, is just like canned food. It says it's got a best by date or an expiration date, but it really lasts a lot longer than what it says on that bottle, as long as you store it in a cool place that's away from sunlight. As far as herbs and like essential oils and things like that, that would be something I'm very experienced with that, but I have books on that. So if you can pick yourself up a book or two that relate to herbs, foraging for herbs, or, oh no, am I coming in all right?
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. You're freezing up a little bit here.
You said that the internet connection. Okay.
No, it's all good. It's good here. You're good.
Okay.
Keep talking.
So like I was saying, if you have the books, you don't have to be an expert on everything. I have a couple of books put away. If it ever comes to time, and I do have some essential oils that I purchased from other people suggesting it. I don't know how to use these things, but if the time ever came, I've got the books that can say, hey, look, I got the user's manual, right? All I got to do is go in there and look, okay, we can try this. Oh, so clove oil is good for toothaches. Okay, great. I got clove oil in my essential oil. We can use it for a toothache if we need it, et cetera, et cetera.
See, that was on my list, is because I said I put it on my thing, books, because what happens if, you know, shit does hit the fan and you maybe you can't use the internet, or you don't have the money to pay for the internet or your magic box right here and then there you go. But a book, once you got that information, it's good forever. But what kind of books should I get? Should I get a medical book, a craft book? Should I get a survival book, a gardening? Like Steve told me, he says, "Oh, just grow a garden." And I says, "Well, you know how to grow a garden?" He says, "Nope." And I says, "Well, then you should have a gardening book."
Man, I always forget the darn name of this book. I think I have it right here. Just a second. The Encyclopedia of, and I have this book too. Give me a second. I know. I had.
So like I got a bunch of survival books, but after I read through them, it's like how to make fire with sticks, or how to make a little, you know, cook some, do this, or spear a fish or something like that. We're not bugging out. I'm not.
I'll tell you what, one of my
spearing a fish.
Right. One of my favorite prepping books is actually a novel, and it's by James Wesley Rawls. Do you know James Wesley Rawls?
I've heard.
He's the author of Patriots. He's the author of a novel called Patriots, and it's actually a novel about the system going down and a group of people and their journey through that crisis.
Oh,
but within the
1 second after.
Yeah, it's something like that. But within that book, there's a lot of real, actual lessons that you can learn. Like, for example, in that book, there's a part where one of their MAG members gets shot in the shoulder, and they go through all of the different blood types that can be mixed in with other blood types.
Oh, yeah.
So reading the novel, you actually get real information. That's actual real information, but it's in the form of a novel. It's very entertaining, but you really get a lot of that book. That's like the first book that I ever read that had to do with preparedness. And James Wesley Rawls also has a whole bunch of other books that are in that same category that kind of like follow the same timeline of Patriots, but in different parts of the world. Like he's got one that's called Survivor, where it takes place in the same timeline, but it's of this guy that's a captain in the army, and he gets stuck in Afghanistan during an economic collapse. And then it's his journey of getting back to the United States, to his home. But it also has a lot of really good practical things that you can do as far as prepping goes. So that's one of my favorite books, and I think it's a great way to prepare. The Encyclopedia of Country Living. That is an outstanding book for preppers. That thing has everything. It has gardening. It has water preservation. Purification. It has how to put away meat. It has recipes. It has everything. All right. That's a great book, and a couple of other really good books to have. So if I could only have 3 books, I would have the encyclopedia, because it even shows you how to do like a food preservation in there. So I would have the Encyclopedia of Country Living. I would have Where There Is No Doctor and Where There Is No Dentist. I would have those 3. If those were the only 3 books I could have, I would have those 3 books, because just the Encyclopedia of Country Living alone pretty much covers how you can run your own homestead. So
you're right. Dentist. Nobody thinks about that. Your teeth are, and then if you get a toothache, that's what drove half those people wild in the West. Back in the West, they got a toothache and they went.
It's nuts. Torture. Yeah, it's torture. I mean, that's people we really take for granted. Excuse me, the systems that we have around us now. Because I remember a couple of years ago, I was at work and I have some implants in my in the upper row of my teeth, because I had my teeth knocked out. But anyways, I was at work one day and I got a really, really bad toothache up here. I mean, it was terrible. And I just called my dentist and I said, hey, listen, I have a terrible toothache. It's just getting worse. She said, come on in. I left work early. I went there and she gave me some medication. But what if that wasn't available? What if that service wasn't available? So yeah, it's something that we take for granted, just like when we open the water tap, right?
Yeah.
Hey, if I get a toothache, I'll just go to the dentist. Well, what if there's no dentist? Then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So that's how we have to think,
Yeah, that is. It's one of those things. I mean, things you don't think of. Okay, here we go. This is on my list. Things you probably didn't think of. Soap. You got to wash, stay clean. Clean is healthy,
Absolutely. Hygiene is very important.
People are going to say, oh, I can make soap. And I'm going to say, you know how cheap you can buy soap.
Yep. But the thing is you can make soap. That's fine. I know how to make soap. It's very easy.
Yeah. However, we have some people in our audience make soap. Crystal MacArthur makes soap.
Yeah.
And I got some here somewhere, but anyway.
But the thing is most people don't know how to make soap.
No,
so
they don't.
It's okay if you're that person that says, well, I can make soap, that's fine. But do you have what you need to make it? And there's different ways of making it. Yeah. Do you want to go through the process of getting ash and then filtering the ash and all that stuff? Or do you want to have the, I always forget the name of it. NaO2, I think it is, the chemical. Rat poison. I always forget the name of it. But do you have that available? Do you have enough so that you can make several batches? Do you have the oils that you're going to need, or are you going to rely on using fat that you render from beef or from pig or whatever? How are you going to do it? If you're going to do it yourself, that's fine. But do you have what you need in order to do it? And like you said, you brought up an excellent point. Soap is really cheap. Why don't you just go buy it and stock up on it? It lasts forever.
Yeah, it never goes bad. I can spend $10 and get boxes of, just the regular hand soap, not the fluffy, stuffy stuff.
Just the regular stuff.
Wash up with,
my wife, what's that called? Irish Spring, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So about 5 years ago, my wife comes home with like 7 or 8 cases, the packs of Irish Spring that have they have like 16.
Yeah.
They have like 16 bars in one pack.
Yep.
And I'm like, why in the world did you get that much soap? And she said they were 10 cents each. And I'm like, wow. Only 10 cents a bar? She said, no, 10 cents a pack. So she paid 10 cents for like a 16 pack of soap about 5 years ago. And I was like, that is so awesome. And the thing is they were discontinuing that pack at Walmart and they were just pretty much giving it away. And she picked up like 5 or 6 of those or something like that. And we still have some of those. And I mean, that's one of the soaps that I use whenever I make my own laundry detergent.
Yeah.
So I'm making laundry detergent with soap that literally cost me less than 1 penny per bar. So yeah, you can't go wrong with things like that.
And
same thing with
You're right. You're right on that.
Go ahead.
It's called repurposing. I think you hit on something there. Repurposing stuff that you already have, like like I was listening to your thing today where you were talking about getting a thing of soda, a plastic bottles of soda, and putting stuff in them.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
repurposing.
Yep.
Like
Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I like to tell people that some of the Alaska Prepper community members that have been with me since the beginning, they've seen me evolve from being a prepping on the cheap kind of prepper to where now I can afford to prep things that are on the pricier side because I've evolved from being debt ridden to having no debt. So, and I like to tell people, listen, because some people are like, well, AP, you have a lot of money. You can buy a freeze dry. I'm like, hey, listen, it was a very slow process and it's called delayed gratification. And I say, I did what I had to do years ago so that today I could do what I want to do. So this is what you get. This is delayed gratification. This is what you get for the sacrifices that you made years ago. But during my beginning videos, when I first started my channel, you saw me do a lot of prepping on the cheap because during that time, I was just working to pay off debt. I was just trying to pay off all my debt because I wanted to be debt free. Because I think that being debt free is probably one of the freest things that it makes you the freest that you can possibly be in this age and time, right? So I wanted to be debt free. And God, Lord willing, thank God, a couple of years ago, I became debt free. But you'll see that I progressed from doing things on the cheap to a little more expensive. But that's not to say that doing things on the cheap is not just as effective as doing things that are on the more pricey side. Because that 2-liter bottle of soda where I put my rice and I put in a 6-cent oxygen absorber, that is just as effective a way of storing away rice for long term than it is if you went out and bought a number 10 can of rice already packaged for you. Yeah. It's that when you do it yourself, when you buy it already done for you, what you're doing is you're paying for your time. You're paying for not having to take the time to do it and instead using that time to do something else. Yeah. So you see, but it's just as effective. So anybody can prep. You can prep just as effectively on the cheap than you can if you spend money and get things that are over the counter. All you're doing by spending that money is you're preserving your time so that you can do what you want with your time and letting someone else do the work instead of you doing it yourself. So I like to tell people that don't have a lot of money, you can prep just as good as me. It's just going to take you a little bit of your time to do it. So don't be discouraged and say, I can't do it because I see number 10 cans of freeze-dried food bag there and I can't afford that. Every single person can afford to prep. Even if you're on some kind of assistance, you can afford to prep. Everyone can. You know what? Let me finish by this because I think this is a very important message. Because I've heard a lot of people say, I'm too poor to prep. And if you out there think that you're too poor to prep, then you are. Because being poor, in my opinion, is a state of mind. And being broke, meaning that you don't have the money right now, is a state of being or a condition. And you can fix the condition of being broke by asking yourself, what can I do to be able to do this? But if you already consider yourself poor, then you're always going to be broke. So don't get those two things confused. Being poor is a state of mind and being broke is a condition that you can solve by doing something, by figuring out what you can do to get around the situation that you're in now. Does it mean that you have to get a second job? Well, it depends on how important you think that being prepared is to you. If you think it's important enough, then you will get a second job so that you can get that insurance and security for your family. If you don't think that it's important because you think the government is going to be there for you whenever you need them, then you're not going to do it. And you're going to use an excuse to say, no, I can't do it. So it's really up to you as far as how well you can be prepared. And it doesn't matter what socioeconomic status you fall in, you can prepare just as good as anyone else. So I don't like for people to be discouraged because in my humble opinion, I believe that a nation that has preppers as citizens is a much better nation when it comes to self-reliance, number one, and national security. Imagine if everyone in the United States had 3 or 6 months of preps put away.
Oh boy.
And the government came out and said, hey, listen, if you don't do this, you can't work. And then imagine if everyone said, okay, we're not going to work. What do you think the government's going to do? You see, being prepared and being self-reliant is also a lot to do with freedom. It has a lot to do with you preserving your sovereignty and not having to bend to the will of someone else because they have something that you need and you really need it, but they have it. So I'll get off my high horse now, man. I'll get off my high horse.
I agree with everything you said. And we talk about that a lot here about, not saying that, you can do it. You can be whatever you want. If you want it, you manifest it. And you get places by doing the work. You have to do something. That's just like my bucket thing here. I don't know. I showed you the bucket thing. See, look at that. There's my bucket. And that was on the cheap, there it was. It was on the cheap. It didn't cost me a whole lot. I want to spill my drink. It didn't cost me a whole lot because I bought items that I use, like you were saying. I bought beans. That was protein. They're still good. The can is fine. It was in the I got rice in there, flour in there. I got a whole list of stuff that was on there. I got sardines. Sardines are cheap and they last forever.
Sardines. Yep.
Yeah.
I love sardines.
Cheddar and broccoli rice. It's dried in one of those packages. Tea. Everybody wants a cup of tea. Corn, beef flavoring. You can put that on your rice.
Yep.
I was thinking of things, and I got like pork. Canned pork, pineapple, skillet mix for the pork. I got salt in there. And somebody says, I put baking soda in there. And they said, why baking soda? Well, you can brush your teeth with it. You can deodorize with it.
Teeth, baking soda, absolutely. Yep.
You can put it in a little glass of water and it'll make it's good to drink every now. Detoxifies you and stuff.
Well, you know that bucket that you have there, someone may look at that bucket and laugh at you. Mm-hmm. But I guarantee you this. Let that someone go 3 days without eating.
Yeah.
And then look at your bucket. You'll be like the king of the block,
Well, absolutely. That bucket didn't cost me a lot, and I just bought a couple cans at a time, and I never even noticed it on my grocery bill. And the bucket I got from some guy who worked at a restaurant, so that was free. Like I said, it was on the cheap, and I got 20 of those buckets, and awesome, I have a lot of stuff. And I figured, well, each bucket for myself, and that I haven't figured. I wanted to take the buckets and see how long I could eat off of one bucket, trying to
sure it out. That's a great experiment. That I think you ought to do that to see how much food you actually have, and see realistically if you can live off what you actually have. Like if you take a look at my main pantry, my kitchen pantry, and then my mid to long-term pantry, every single thing in there, with the exception of some long freeze-dried foods that I have on my top shelves, that's stuff that we eat on a regular basis. So like if the supermarkets were to close tomorrow, it's no big deal. We have what we normally eat anyways right there for a year.
Yeah.
Just think about that. I wish that people would really consider that. My pantry is about 72 square feet. It's got a slanted ceiling. So the short end is about 8 feet high and the high end is about 10 feet high. Mm-hmm. So it's 72 square feet. And then if you want to figure out the volume, you can, but either way, it's 72 square feet. I have 3 million calories of food in there. That's a year's worth of food for 4 people. For 4 people, that's a year's worth of food. So you can't really make the excuse that you don't have room to do it. So anybody can do it. Anyone can put it away. And I mean, it's really like one of my dreams that one day at least 50% of Americans are prepped for at least a year. Because I honestly believe that being prepared makes us a better nation. I really do. I believe that it will make us a better nation to be prepared, not for a day or 2 or 3, but for a long time.
Yeah, it's better to be prepared, not scared. That's what we
That's
always
right.
saying here.
That's 100% right. I mean, prepping takes away your fear because
Yeah.
I could care less right now. If the supermarket's closed right now,
Oh, geez.
okay, they closed.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be panicking.
Yeah,
You know, last March, was it, whatever, March of 2020,
I know what you're
when
thinking.
people were knocking each other over the head for toilet paper.
Toilet.
I was on my couch watching
Yes.
it on YouTube.
So was I.
I already have toilet paper.
I had so much toilet paper. I was sending it toilet paper to people, that I knew. They were like, sending packages.
Yeah, and it's like, for example, I went to Costco here the other day, and I think I have a video coming out tomorrow about a little Costco trip that I took. But anyways, on that video, I think I remember saying, you know what? I noticed that they don't have any long grain rice, but I don't care. I have it put away. I have enough rice put away probably to last me 2 or 3 years. I don't care if something happens. I rotate it. Whenever I go through my working stock of rice, I take another 50 pounds, I put it in my bin, and then I go grab another 50-pound bag, and then I, package it for long term. So if it disappears off the shelf for 6 months, it doesn't matter to me. And if everyone had that mentality with whatever it is that they use, it doesn't only have to be food. I have enough motor oil put away to give my vehicles an oil change for about 3 years. I just purchased, I just ordered some oil filters for my Toyota Tundra today, because I realized that, hey, you know what? I just bought that truck about a year ago. I was like, you know what? I've never bought extra oil filters for it. So I ordered 5 oil filters for it. That's enough for about 2.5 years of oil changes for that truck. And it cost me $20. They were like $4 an oil filter.
I know.
So that's taken care of.
I seen that on your video, today's video on your live stream.
On my live stream, yeah.
Yeah, and I was watching. I was going to chime in, but I was driving. I'm working the oil field, so I'm driving.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I listen. So anyway, I was thinking of the same thing. So out here, I live in North Dakota. Everything's far apart. So right now, I'm doing some work on my truck, and I'm replacing all this stuff. And I'm kind of like you, but I've already bought extra brakes. I got extra fuel filters. It's a diesel, so it's got extra fuel filters, extra oil filters. I got all that stuff just like you. I might not have enough for all those oil changes or whatever, but I have an extra one of everything.
Yeah. Yes, and that's perfect, man. I mean, same thing as you. I've got an extra set of brake pads for my vehicles. I got extra set of serpentine belts. I always travel with an extra set of wiper blades in the back of my truck, because here I had an experience a couple of years ago where I went to the gas station. It was during the winter. I went to the gas station and to get my coffee in the morning. And when I came back out, I turned on my windshield wipers, and they ripped apart because they got stuck to the windshield. And I was like, hot darn. So I remember I was like, wait a minute, I got an extra set of windshield wipers in the back. Took me 5 minutes to change them out. Yeah. And ever since then, I've been religiously making sure that I always have a set of windshield wipers in there. And when I had them back, there was just by happenstance that I had forgotten that I left them there. But I'm like, you know what? It's a great idea to have an extra set of windshield wipers in the back of your vehicle, or at least one, at least one that can at least do the, part of the windshield where you look out of.
Yeah. Good idea. Really good.
There's just a lot of things that you can do, but like I say, and I don't like to talk about too much of the other stuff, because I don't want to overwhelm people that are new to prepping. I want them to have a good experience and then broaden their horizons per se once they've got a little bit of experience under their belt, and they can understand that, yes, it's not all about food. You also need, like you said, medicine, self-defense. Maybe once you have everything that you think you need, maybe start adding a little bit extra, maybe for barter. Once you're debt free, start prepping your financial future by maybe preserving a little bit of your wealth in real things and real assets that can bring your wealth out to the future. Because once we survive a crisis and get through it, we want to be able to thrive on the other side of that crisis. And without money, you can't do it.
Yeah,
you know,
and there's the real money, and then there's the paper money.
and there's that fiat currency that so many people seem to love for a reason or another. I don't know why.
I know. I put my money. I try to invest in a little bit of both because I keep some cash on hand.
Yes,
because
that's
you got
smart.
because what happens that day when the credit card don't work or your debit
That's
card
right.
don't work, and you go to and they say, well, it says cash only, our computers are down. Well, I'll go to the ATM. I've seen people do that. It's down, you dodo,
Yeah,
Or
you have to be diversified in everything, man. Diversified in everything. I have the exact same mentality you have. I don't like to keep a lot of cash in the bank. Unfortunately, Uncle Sam wants me to pay taxes, so I have to keep some in the bank to make sure it's there, right?
Yes.
And but I like to keep enough in the bank to pay a couple of months, 2 or 3 months worth of my bills, just as an emergency fund.
Yeah.
But I also like to keep about 2 or 3 months worth of bills at home in cash in case the ATM goes down. I can still have some cash to pay my electric bill if I have to.
Yes.
To go and buy gasoline if I can with cash because credit cards aren't working or ATMs aren't working. So yeah, it's very smart to be diversified in everything, not just put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah. Speaking of baskets and stuff, there's one other thing here. Well, I got multiple things. Okay, you got your food, you got your security, you got a few little odds and ends to keep you healthy and well and stuff. But here's one big thing that we have all been conditioned for. Unlike the farmer of the 1800s, we rely on this beautiful thing called electricity and lights and all of that stuff. What do you suggest to have? Candles, oil lamps, a generator, solar, or flashlights? Or what would you say to have to be prepared the best?
All of the above.
Well, I mean, if you had to pick something that was reasonable, I mean, there's people out there. I know I got a friend of mine too, and he was a Marine, and he's stocking up, and he's like, I went out, I got 50 candles. I'm like, well,
okay,
that's
so
good.
so I think that before I got candles, I rather get flashlights that take batteries. Not that I don't like candles, I have a whole bunch of them. But the thing is that we are not used to having candles on in the house. And some people forget to follow the very important rule about candles or lanterns. You can see I have a lantern back there, right there.
Yep.
An oil lantern. And my rule is that if we ever have to rely on a lantern or a candle to light our home, that you never leave that candle or lantern unattended. So if you're in the living room and you're going to the bathroom because you have to use the toilet, you're taking that candle with you. You're not going to have a candle in the bathroom, also in the hallway. You have to always have it with you. Also, the same thing with the lantern, because you have toddlers, you have cats, you have dogs. You can leave a candle up somewhere and say, oh, I'll be back in a minute. But that cat don't care, right? And that could be everything. So I would rather rely on a flashlight and rechargeable batteries, and maybe have a couple of solar panels with a small or a large, the biggest one that you can afford, solar generator. I would rather have that first before I have like biofuel methods of lighting and cooking too. But I don't mind having candles, but you just have to be extremely careful with them.
Yeah. Now I got that, like you said, like you got that lamp back there. That's a beautiful Aladdin lamp. And
somebody sent me that. One of my community members sent me that about a year ago or so.
Yeah. I collect lamps. So I got 20, 30 of them. And I got several Aladdin lamps. I bought the big Lincoln one with the shade. Oh, it's beautiful. Anyway.
Yeah, I think they're really pretty.
Oh yeah, they are. And they light up. That one lamp will give you as much light as a ton of candles, and it's safer because you could set it in one area and it gives off light like a big light will. So it's one of those things. And I used to hang out with the Amish a lot. My brother-in-law was Amish at one time, and I would go there, and they would have one big lamp in the center of the room, in the kitchen or whatever it was. And that one lamp gave so much light. You thought you had fluorescent lights in the house. It was beautiful.
Awesome.
It was wonderful. But here's something, a person could keep on hand. I just bought this. It's a solar charger controller. So if you go out and buy a solar panel, how are you going to make it charge or charge your battery without one of these? You can't just hook your panel up to the thing. So, $10 for one of these is worth every dime.
What I like to recommend to people, because it's so simple.
Yeah.
If they can afford it, get themselves like a small, or not a small, get themselves the biggest solar generator that you can, because it's just plug and play. And many people are not familiar with what you need in order to generate power with a solar panel. Like you said, you need a solar panel, you need a charge controller. Then after the charge controller, you're going to need a battery. Then after the battery, you're going to need an inverter. Yep. Many people don't understand everything they need, and many people may not have the time to dedicate to learning it. Yeah. So when you get yourself a small solar generator or the biggest solar generator that you can afford, then it's plug and play. Everything is there. All you need to do is just hook it up to your solar panels. You have sun, you're going to have power. And then in addition to that, maybe get yourself some rechargeable, like AA, AAA batteries that you can actually use to plug into your solar generator, charge them up, while your solar generator is charged. And then there you go. You have some batteries for flashlights or whatever. Yep. But you can at least have a little bit of energy. A solar generator, they're making bigger and bigger ones now. But your garden variety solar generator is not going to be good enough to power like your whole house. I know that Blue Eddy just came out with the EB3000, I think it is. That thing is awesome. I'm like in love with that thing. It's pretty pricey, but it's like a 12 kilowatt solar generator. It's incredible. And I have to say that for the price, it's really not that bad. I think it's like $5,000. Wow. But that's really not that bad for 12,000 kilowatt, or for 12 kilowatt, not 12,000 kilowatt, for 12 kilowatt. That's really not a bad price when you compare it to what you're paying per kilowatt hour off of other solar generators. But what I would say is get the one that you can afford the most. I mean, the biggest one that you can afford. Get that one and then go with that one. And then, of course, I would never recommend that someone get a solar generator before they had an actual gasoline or diesel generator. Because a solar generator will only work if you have sun. That's it. But a gas or diesel or liquid propane generator will work as long as you have fuel. All right. And a solar generator and a gas generator, they complement each other very well. Right. So if you can have both, that's great. You don't have to have a huge gas generator. And I'll say gas generator, although they sell ones that take diesel. Like I have one that takes gasoline or propane or natural gas, either or. Having one of those, in my opinion, is first and foremost before you spend money on a solar generator. Because like I said, as long as you have gas, it's going to work. And propane even better. Because if you can get a propane power generator, even better, because propane doesn't have an expiration date. Yeah, propane will last forever. Yeah. So you always have fuel put away. And then it's just a matter of making sure that you have that fuel put away for a crisis. And that that it's going to be there for you when you need it. So yeah, definitely you want to make sure that you have some power. That is probably one of the things that will affect people the most is not having electricity. Because think about it, put yourself in a room that is 100% dark, and then light a candle. Light is a very big morale booster when there is no light. When you think about it.
Well, that's what I was saying is we're so used to having the lights. And if you take that away, how that's going to affect people's,
it's going to affect them psychologically.
Yes, exactly. Because we're used to getting up and working around the house at 10 o'clock at night, like we're doing right now. It's dark. It started out light. Now it's dark. But we got these wonderful lights to keep us going. And
I mean, the very first thing that I do in the morning, the first thing I do is I walk down the stairs, I go to my kitchen, turn on the light. That's the first thing I do.
Yes.
And then I go to the bathroom and do whatever I do, right? But that's the first thing I do is walk down the stairs, turn on the light.
Yeah.
You know, because you know how you can tell where you're walking your house when it's dark, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And so I just, you know, muscle memory gets me to my light switch in the kitchen. I turn it on. That's the first thing you do.
Yeah.
And imagine when that's not there for you anymore.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that would be a very big psychological barrier that you have to get through. However, if you have backups to that infrastructure, to electricity, then it will soften the blow and it will allow you time to figure out what it is that you're going to do next, instead of you having to panic and figure out, how am I going to do it because I have no light. It'll give you that option of giving you extra time to figure out what it is that you're going to do, what it is. You know, prepping is something that allows you to have more time to be able to make decisions level-headed instead of having knee-jerk reactions, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, absolutely. It's like I said in the beginning, the more backups you have to your infrastructures, the better.
Next question, and this is kind of right on the same thing. You live in Alaska, and I live in North Dakota, and one thing we have in common is it's flipping cold. You know, and what are you going to heat your house with? I mean, how do you what are you going to do? Like here, my house is electric, and I'll just tell you real quick, my house, everything in my house is electric. I live in a little bitty house. It's like a 1-car garage converted into a house. So it's small. They put one little electric heater. I got electric stove, got electric hot water heater. And I said, oh my God, if the electric goes out, what do I do? And so I bought a little
options.
I got a kerosene heater. I got a propane heater thing, you know, to heat. And I'm like, well, I'm crossing my fingers. What do you suggest?
Is your house yours?
No, I rent.
Okay, you rent. Okay, I was gonna say, because you know, I'm in the bunker right now, right?
Yeah.
And my bunker is heated with a propane direct vent heater that doesn't use electricity.
Yeah.
So I never have to rely on electricity. I just have to make sure that I have propane, right?
Yep.
So that's an option. So I'm going to tell you what I do for my main house. That way, you know, you'll know what I do. And like I said, you can get ideas off of what other people do. So my main house, my house is heated by what's called a Toyotomi stove or a Toyotomi heater. And it's just a fuel oil heater.
Oh, yeah.
That has a direct vent to the outside. So it brings in fresh air and it lets out the exhaust without it affecting the air inside of your home and only allowing it to affect the temperature inside your home. So pretty much it has a heat exchanger, and then there's a fan that blows through the heat exchanger, and there you go. But it needs electricity in order to operate the fuel pump and the fan and the motherboard. Okay, no problem. I normally have about 1.5 to 2 years supply of fuel oil on hand, meaning that I could probably make it through 2 winters with what I have on supply at all times of fuel oil. All right. However, if something were to happen where we lose electricity for an extended period of time, excuse me, I'm sorry. And I mean an extended period of time, you know, because I have so many electrical backups that if we lost electricity, I could still be able to provide electricity to my Toyo stove for probably the next month or 2, or maybe longer, right? But if we lost electricity, or if my Toyo stove broke, let's say it just stopped working, right next to my Toyo stove, I had a heater installed that's just like the one that I have in my bunker, but it's bigger. It's like a 40,000 BTU direct vent propane heater that works only off of propane, and it doesn't need any electricity. And I have enough propane outside. I have 2 of the big 120-gallon propane bottles. That's enough to get me through a full winter. So if for some reason something happened halfway through the winter where I knew that we weren't going to have an infrastructure to support, you know, electricity or heat or anything like that, I know for a fact that I'm going to have enough propane to get me through the rest of that winter. And then I'll have the summer months to breathe and figure out what I'm going to do for next winter. Right. So for an instance in which everything failed, my Toyo and my non-electric heater, I also have an emergency wood stove that I can set up in my house with a direct vent out through a window. And I can actually put a vent out through a window with that stove, not through the window, but you would slide the window open and put an insert in there, and actually heat my house with that wood stove. So those are the backups that I use. Of course, I also have a couple of other propane heaters that I can use indoors, but they're not direct vent. And those would in themselves be a last resort kind of thing that I would use. So that's what I have. So I think I'm pretty good, for at least at least for 1 year, I am very, very confident that if something that would happen, I'm very confident that I can get my family through one full winter. All right. Yeah. And to me, that's everything, because it gives you that next season where it's not cold to figure out what am I going to do for the next winter if things don't get back to normal. So I'm very confident with that. But that's what I do for my backup heat. And so far it's worked well. I've had to use that backup heater once in the house. And I really didn't have to use it, but I wanted to during a power outage to just see how it worked and see if it heated the house. And it works great. And I'm pretty confident. And that's one of the things that we should cover is if you have equipment that's part of your prepping, make sure that you know how to use it. Yeah. And make sure that you actually use it. That way you can be confident that when the time comes that you need to use it, that you can be confident that it's going to work. You don't ever want to be double guessing yourself or second guessing yourself during a crisis. Do it before. If you buy that generator, I purchased a generator for my niece. She lives in Texas. And during that Texas freeze, I was in touch with her, and she was one of the people that lost power for a long time. So once I talked to her, I went ahead and purchased her like a prepper package. I purchased her a propane heater, a generator, I got her everything, right? And I just had it sent to her house. And I purchased her that generator, and it's probably been about 6 months, if not more, since then. Yeah, it was February, right? So it's been, it's been about 7-8 months now, right? Yeah. She still hasn't taken it out of the box.
Oh, jeez.
I love her, and I just talked to her a few days ago, and I said, have you taken that generator out of the box and started it? At least started it once? Oh, I haven't been able to. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, you can only do what you can do from, 4,000 miles away, right?
Yeah.
And getting upset at things is not really going to fix anything, right? So I said, okay, you have it there, you should take it out of the box and get on YouTube, and you can figure out how to start it. There's a YouTube video for every darn generator in the world. And, but I just remind her every once in a while when I talk to her, hey, take it out of the box and make sure it works. I bought her a propane heater for inside her house. And I said, go ahead and get yourself at least 2 or 3 or 4 20-pound propane tanks and turn it on one time and make sure that it works.
Make sure it works, yes.
But get to know your equipment. If you buy a Berkey water filter, test it out. Yeah. That way you know that it's going to work, when you need it, if you want to put it away afterwards, put it away. There's a lot of things that I've gotten that I've used one time. Yeah. But I know that it works. And if I ever had to use it, I'm already confident that I can use it and have it do what it is that I need it to do for me. So, there's no need to be an expert in everything. Just know your equipment. Like, for example, I have boomsticks. I'm not an expert gunsmith. I'm not an expert in anything. I was in the military, but I'm not an expert in taking them apart and all that stuff. But I can tell you this, every one that I do have, I can field strip, I can clean, and I know how to take it apart blindfolded and put it back together. But I'm not an expert with it, but I can, I can service it well, and I can shoot it well, right? And that's really all you need to do. You don't need to be an expert in everything. It would be very nice if you're an expert in one thing, because that would be a very barterable item during a crisis when you have to maybe trade your services for something else. So it's always nice to be really, really good at one thing and then just know a lot about other different things.
I totally agree. And I'm right with you on that, because I bought the water filter. I bought Alexa Pure. But anyway, I got
just
the
a
thing. I
stick.
used it for a little while. I was like, well, I really don't need it. So I put it away, but I have it. I have it
Yeah.
for the day when I need it. Also, I got a good story for you on why you should use your equipment and try it out. So me and my friend, he was in the Marines, and we talked about bugging out and doing all these things, right? So we got these big at least I got my big backpack. So I bought the biggest backpack military thing I could find.
Oh,
I
yeah.
filled it full of all kinds of stuff, clothing, water, stove, cooking stuff, and everything. And I says, okay, we need to go out and try this stuff out. So we went out and went for a 1-day hike.
Good lesson. Good lesson.
I walked probably for a half hour, and I had to take it off and take a break. Then I put it on, and I didn't even know how to put it on. That's how heavy it was. He had to show me because he knew how.
Yeah,
to
over the top.
Oh my God. Yeah. We flipped it up and put it. So you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And I had that thing loaded down to the max, and we hiked, and then we had to start the fire with the flint and stuff, the magnesium rod and stuff. Oh my gosh. And then we did all of that. When we got done, I said, I didn't use half of that stuff that's in my pack. And I came home, I took everything out of that pack, picked out what I really need, got myself a smaller pack, and I filled it up with that, which I can carry and actually walk.
Yeah.
And then I realized after that, it's just like you said, you need to try the stuff out because
yes, absolutely, man.
I got this big backpack, but then I can't carry it. So what good does it do me?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but that's a good lesson though, at least, you learn from that.
Yeah.
There's, I've always said there is absolutely no such thing as failure, only as far or as long as you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
If you don't learn from your mistakes, then you did fail. But as long as you learn from any mistakes that you make, then it's not failure. It's actually a good thing. So yeah, absolutely. You need to try the things that you have. And it's like I said, you don't have to be an expert in everything. Don't put yourself through that torture. Just be good enough. Like, for example, I built this bunker. Mm-hmm. Trust me, I'm not no expert carpenter. And trust me, there's a lot of things that I see that I did wrong that maybe you don't see, right?
Yeah.
But guess what? It holds in heat. I can turn the lights on. The door closes and the windows are level, right?
Yes.
I'm good. I'm good, right? It does what it's supposed to do.
But like you said, though, did you learn anything from it?
Absolutely. Every single time I build something, I learn something new. My son and I built our house, mm-hmm. and my daughter has a running joke with me. She's always asking me, hey, do you know what's square in this house? And I'm like, what do you mean what's square? She says, nothing. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right.
That's true.
But
that is so true. Okay, we're getting down to the last part, and
right.
This should, because we're close to an hour you've been on this, so I don't like to keep you too long, but should I befriend the neighbor or not? Or should I be a lone wolf with me and my own family?
I know. I mean, community is everything. Community is everything. And lone wolves may make it for a while, but depending on the crisis, if it's a severe crisis, like an SHTF, right? Mm-hmm. Like the lights are out, they're not coming back. Mm-hmm. The lone wolf may make it for a while, and some lone wolves may make it, period. If they have the skills. But like I said, the deer are going to be hunted out. People are going to be foraging all over the place. I think community is very important. And one of the things that I do is I actually prep for my neighbors without them knowing, right? Just in case. I know that I have a neighbor that doesn't really prep, but he's a good guy and he has good skills. Mm-hmm. So I plan on prepping for those people that want to work for their food, because mm-hmm. he who does not work shall not eat. And I didn't make the sacrifices that I made for all these years, putting away all these things and not going on vacation, so that I can give you what I got with my labor, because you decided not to prepare for yourselves. So not that there's no mercy, there is, but I will provide for those that need, as long as they're willing to work. for their food. So I do prep for neighbors. And of course, there's no possible way that I can see a child who's starving and not help that child. So I know that some people may say, oh, you're just setting yourself up. I'm sorry, but even though a crisis may occur, we still have to stay human. We still have to be human beings. What good is it getting through a major crisis when you yourself give up your humanity, right? Yeah. So I prep for my neighbors. However, I'm very lucky because where I live, the people that live in this area, very, like-minded. They're self-reliant. And, with, a lot of Alaskans, I want to say that this is a good thing about being in Alaska is that a lot of Alaskans, because of where we live, they already have somewhat of a prepared mentality because everyone loses power during the winter more than once. So if you've gone through a power outage and you don't have those backups, you learn really quick that, hey, I probably ought to get a backup, at least for my electricity so I can keep my heat running. So most people do have somewhat of a preparedness mindset. So it's really good that around here where I live, at least, the people are pretty self-reliant. And, and like I said, community is everything, man, because without community, I don't think you have security. Yeah. So you really need community in order to have security.
I agree. We got something in common. North Dakota is kind of the same way. When I first came here, and the people I stayed with, it was an oil rush, and they said to me, I says, oh, I got to go to town. Where's town? And they said, about 50 miles that way. And I says, when do you guys go to town? We go once a month. I'm like, what?
There you go.
And I went, I'm just like, what? They were already preppers and they didn't even know it. They had a giant freezer and stuff. They opened up the pantry. Well, take whatever you need here. And when you go to town, just replace it. I'm like, holy cow.
That's awesome.
But I found out that because of the ranches and stuff are so big and they're so far away, towns out here were put, believe it or not, where the train stations were, which were every 50 miles where the train had to stop to fill up with
That's
water.
Awesome, man. And, I think that's awesome. That's a great place to live, man, from what you're telling me.
Yeah, it is. It's really nice. And the little towns are the best. This oil town I'm in, it's not like true North Dakota, but the people are really nice. But when you go to the little towns, I tell you, when I first came here, I was in the company truck. I ran out of gas at the city limit sign. And I ran out of gas and I went, oh man. And I picked up the phone and I called this guy who lived in that town. And I says, hey man, you awake? Can you bring me a gallon of gas? I should have stopped at the gas station yesterday and fill up. I thought I could make it. I only got a few more miles to go. I hung up and a guy pulls up, rolls down his window, and he says, you run out of gas? I got 2 gallons in the back of the truck. Put it in here. Have a good day. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. You know what? And it's the same thing here for the most part. It doesn't matter where you live. You're going to have some people that are not genuine, that are not good. But for the most part, it's the same way here. If you're driving down the highway, you see someone walking, usually pull over. Hey man, do you need a ride? I'll do that if I'm by myself. If I have my daughter or my wife in the car, I won't do it. But yeah, you pull over like, hey, you need a ride, man? Come on in. Let's go. Let's take you wherever. I remember one day I took a guy about a half hour away from where I live because he needed a ride, and I'm like, yeah, no big deal, man. It happens, and every once in a while we need help, and you just hope that one day when you're the one that needs help, somebody will be there to help you. But that's one of those good things. But that's one of the benefits of living in a small unpopulated area. That's why I like to tell people that live in populated areas that, man, you better have a plan of getting out or get out now if you can now. So a lot of people don't like to hear that, but it's just the truth. Cities what I like to say is that, like, populated cities, like let's say New York City, those places, they don't produce anything of value. And what I mean is this: it's not something nefarious. It's not that they're doing something bad, but they don't produce things that bring value to your life as far as sustaining life. Where do they get their water? Where do they get their food? Where do they get their energy? They usually get it from places that are far away. So they usually
It's all
import
brought
everything.
in. Brought in.
Yeah. So if something happens where the system goes down, where are they going to get their stuff? And they need so much of it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So I always say, try to live somewhere where you are the producer and not the consumer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that way you're already living in a place that produces, right? And you have what you need. But if you live somewhere where all you do is consume, then you're going to be in a hard way. You're going to be in a bad way. Should something really bad happen, like the grid goes down, you know, or gasoline runs out or food runs out, you're going to be in a bad way if you're in a place like that. So have somewhere to go if you live in a city, you know, at least a gas tank away from the city. And if you can, move out of the city if you can, which is a lot easier said than done. But if you can, I would say move out of the city.
Well, that was the last question. Should I bug out or not? And you answered that.
There you go.
Right there. And I know some people here live in city. I know a few people that they live in California or wherever.
It's a difficult thing, man. It's difficult.
Man,
I mean,
I wouldn't want to be there.
Well, I mean, I always say, look, it's easy for me to say because I don't live in a city. It's easy for me to say. And when I say this, I say it with a light heart that if you live in a city, you want to get out because look, people probably live there all their lives. Everyone they know is there. Their family is there. Their job is there.
Yeah. But,
you know, what's that saying that's in the Bible? You know, get out of her, my people, or come out of her, my people.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty much telling you that populated areas, they're going to be hurting the most during a severe crisis. Yeah. They're going to be hurting the most. And that's where you're going to have most of your inhumane actions occur. That's where people are going to become more vicious than anywhere else.
Yeah.
So if you can move out, but if you cannot, that's okay. Maybe have a plan to go somewhere else. Maybe if you can't afford it, try to purchase a small piece of land, at least a gas tank away from the city, where maybe you can pull up with an RV, where maybe you can build a small 3-sided pole barn where you can have a cache of food. And then you can pull up with an RV that you can buy for $1,500, $2,000, you know, used. You know, or if you know someone that lives in the countryside, maybe say, hey, Joe, do you mind if we keep some of our preps here? And if something happens, can we come here, you know, and stay with you until the dust settles? And we will go ahead and keep our preps here and bring more preps if we ever have to come here. And then go visit them, you know, for a week or two or for a weekend every month. Go over there for a weekend and hang out and, you know, just, you know, you can always find a way to mitigate living in the city and not moving out. But I think that the best thing to do is to move out. But like I said, I understand for people that cannot do it. You know, it's a very, very big change. It's not something that you can ask of anyone. It's something that someone has to realize that they have to do for themselves and for their families. And if not, you know, like I said, try to find a little spot that maybe you can buy or try to go in with a friend or see if a family member that you have lives out in the not the suburbs, but out in the country and figure out a way that you can get there should something happen. So.
Wow. Very, very good suggestions. By gosh, I've kept you a long time now.
Yeah, I've had a great time, man.
I've had a great time. I learned a lot, and I hope everybody that watches this video will learn a lot. And if you want to learn more, go to Alaskan Prepper's channel. The link is in the description, and all his information is down below. And check him out. He's got some great videos. Trust me, that's where I started. I wanted to can meat and get yourself a pressure cooker, watch his video, and you're in. It's great.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you, brother. Thank you very much for having me, man. I really did have a good. And I'm sorry, man, that we got mixed up on the time.
Yeah, I kept thinking, well, it must be like Pacific time, right? Yeah, it's Pacific
no, and you know
time.
what, man? I was in the military, so I'm like a stickler for time. Like I hate being late. You know, so to hear that, yeah, but Yeah,
we
it
got all the
happens.
other stuff out of the way because
It happens, right?
I had all these. I was showing everybody the puppies. They love the puppies. They're so cute, you know.
Oh
And
man, that little guy is awesome.
so we got to show all the
Oh,
puppies off. They're what, 5 weeks old.
what
They're
is that
border collie blue heeler mix.
man, that is a beauty.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wish you could mail me one, man.
Yeah, I'll put it in the post office box and send it right out.
That is a beautiful little guy.
I
Oh,
got
man.
8 of them. Here you go. Hang on.
Really?
Hang on.
I
Here
wanna
we
see
go.
him. Yeah, yeah.
There they are.
Oh my goodness, man. That is so awesome.
Yeah, there they are. They're all
They are
sleeping.
beautiful. Look at that. They look like a pack of hot dogs.
Yep. Yeah. Look at that one. He's laying upside down. Oh,
Man,
yeah.
that is so cool.
Yeah. They
I'm
are.
jealous. I'm jealous.
Oh, you wouldn't be jealous when they whine all night long and right, you know, and things like, oh man. But no,
Oh, very
they've been fun to have around, and hopefully some of them are going to get gone. Steve, who was on earlier, he's taken one, and I got another guy at work, so that's 2
That's
gone
cool. Good.
out of the 8. And I don't know. I hopefully last time I had them, man, they went so fast. I by the end of the weekend, after I put them on Craigslist, they were gone just like that. So there you
Oh,
go.
good. Hopefully they'll go to good homes.
Oh,
That's good.
they will. I'm sure this is ranch country. Everybody likes border collies and healers, so I got the perfect.
Well,
one.
I am my daughter's dog is an English Shepherd,
Oh, mhm.
and she's my little buddy. I love that dog. Her name's
Oh, yeah.
Karma. But I was completely against her getting a dog because we already had a dog in the house, and I'm like, we don't need another dog, you know. And of course, you know, I live with my wife and my daughter. You know, 2 girls and 1 guy. They're gonna win every time, right?
Yeah, just
But,
see, you're outvoted. You're
so
outvoted.
So she ended up saving up her own money, and she
Mhm.
went out, and her mom found an English Shepherd, and
Mhm.
I love that dog. I'm so glad they got it. I love that little dog.
Yeah.
She's my little buddy. But yeah, she's a really good dog. I mean, and she's a herding dog, so she's always nipping you in the butt.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
always nipping you in the butt, trying to get you to go where she wants you to go.
Oh, I
but,
know. I got the border collie girl, and she's a good herder. I watched her she'll go with chase the horses or cows around. She'll nip at the cow's nose or the horse's tail. I've watched her swing on the horse's tail. It's like, holy cow.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
It's
awesome.
great. But thank you for coming again.
All right, Robert.
It's been great. Thank you to everybody who's been in chat listening this long, and it's been a real good time. Remember, everyone, be the frequency you want to receive. Peace, everybody. Love you all.
God bless you all. Have a great evening, ladies and gentlemen.